We're going to look at problem number 2 of section 3.7, and this is found on page 191. However, to be able to do problem 2 here, we need to look at the bottom of page 190 before we look at this one on page 191. And that is the slope-intercept form of a line looks like this. Y equals mx plus b, where b is your y-intercept, and the m part here in this formula is the slope. So there's two things we got to know to be able to write the equation of a line or to be able to graph a line. And that is that the number in front of the letter x, or the variable x, is the slope, and the number out by itself, b represents a number, it's just a generality that we're talking about here, but b represents the y-intercept. Now, if we know that, it's going to make graphing fairly easy as we go through this, okay? So, let's look at problem 2 real quickly here. All right. If we're going to graph this line, again, I want to point out to you that this is your slope and this is your y-intercept, okay? So if that is true, then that means we're going to start at 1 on the y-axis, because that's what y-intercept means. So if you'll look down here, we really did start at 1 on the y-axis. Then, step 2, we look at the slope. The slope is 2/3. Remember, we said a few minutes ago, or in the previous problem, that slope is rise over run. So that means that from that point I started with, which was 1, I'm going to go up 2 and over 3. And they've shown this using colors here. You're going to go up 2 here, and then you're going to go over 3. When you do, again, you started here, you're going to end up here. You could do that over and over again. You could go up 2 and over 3. And if we would extend that, we would find out you can do that as many times as you'd like. 2 is enough to define a line. But you draw a line through those 2 points, or 3, or however many you choose to draw. And therefore, you'll have the equation, or excuse me, you'll have the graph of a line. Okay? Now, let me erase this a little bit. The next part says, what is the graph of y minus 3 equals negative 2 x plus 3? Now, this one is more of another form that you learn about, which is called the point slope form. It's y minus the y value. The first y and the first x doesn't change. This is a point on the line, and this is a point on the line, and of course m always represents slope. So when we look at this particular problem right here above it, then we know first of all that the slope is negative 2 because of that right there. That goes in right there as your slope. And then the point x1, y1 would be, again, it's this. You take the opposite of that one, because notice the minus right here. So that's your y value. Your y value is going to be 3. And your x value, since that's a plus and that was a minus, you don't take the opposite. You do take the opposite of that. So that's going to be negative 3. Okay. It needs to be in the form of minus. And this one was not, it was plus, so I had to take the opposite. So what I'm trying to say is that this time I'm not going to start on the y-axis because it wasn't in the slope-intercept form. This time it was in point-slope form, so I had to find the point, which happened to be negative 3, positive 3, which is right here. Then I do my slope, and we said that the slope was negative 2. So if you'll notice, you go down 2 and over 1. I could repeat that again, down 2 and over 1. I could repeat that again and again and again, as many times as I would like in order to be able to do that. Let me erase this so you can see it. Okay, so then once you draw your original, you've got your original point of negative 3, 3. You've got your new point there, and you could even have found another new one or another new one. You could keep on going. Then you're going to draw a line through those 2 points at least those 2 points, and therefore you would have the equation of a line. Okay. Now, real quickly, if we were going to graph this first one, y equals 3x plus 4, first of all, we're going to start at -4, which means negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there's where we're going to start, because we always start on the y-axis. Then my slope happens to be 3. That means from that original point, I'm going to go up 3 and over 1. Up 3 and over 1. I can do that as many times as I like, but when I reconnect those, there's the quick equation or the graph of A here. Okay. Now for B, it's in point slope form. So again, you don't take the opposite, because in original form it is y minus. So my y value is going to be 2, and because that is minus, and in the original one it was minus, I'm going to take this the same as there. That means 4. Okay, so my point is going to be 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I'm going to start right there. Let me put that in red. I'm going to start right there, and then from there I look at my slope. My slope is 1/3. That means I'm going to go down 1 and over to the right 3. And if you have true graph paper, that would be pretty simple to see, and I would make my next dot and then take your straight edge and connect those lines, and there's the graph of B. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Best of luck.